name is Ben Terrell. I'm a freshman biology major here at Lindsey College. This question is for you as follows. Some state governments have began to be very critical of the extended deployment of National Guard units by the U.S. government in Iraq and Afghanistan. Due to the low level of resources at home, in the case of an emergency, should our state government ever refuse the request of the Commander-in-Chief to deploy Kentucky National Guard units?
I was hoping I would get that one. Having been a member of the Kentucky National Guard and having been deployed a couple of times, I would like to see the governor refuse to let them deploy them anywhere. But that's beside the point. Really, the National Guard is funded almost entirely by the federal government. And the president is the commander-in-chief. Therefore, I'm not real sure that the governor has the complete control on that. But like I say, I was hoping I wouldn't get this question because, to tell you the truth, I didn't get a chance to research just what the governor's power is. I do know that there is in the history of the National Guard, not the Kentucky National Guard, but other states' National Guard, which I'm sure operated the same policies, where the governor of the state did request that his National Guard units not be called up in a particular situation. And as I recall, that was honored. Now, whether it came to the governor refusing to allow the president to activate the Guard unit, I'm not sure. I guess the gist of this question is, do I think the governor should be able to do that? And having seen some of the things that the National Guard can do to aid citizens indeed in a civil emergency, convinces me that in some situations anyway, that those citizens need the Guard more than they need them in Iraq, or in some other foreign country. So my short answer there is I would hope that the governor could do that in certain limited situations.
My name is Hannah Crawford. I'm a freshman here at Lindsey and the Human Services Manager. This question is for Mr. Swan. With both counties within our district struggling to attract new manufacturing industries to our area for whatever reason, it seems the importance of continuing to develop our local tourism industry is becoming more and more important. What impact can you have at the state level to improve our local tourism industry?
Well, one of the most successful things Governor Fletcher did was to start the Unbridled Spirit program. It has been held nationally as an excellent way of attracting tourists and new visitors to Kentucky. And other states have actually copied the model that former Secretary of Economic Development Gene Strong and Governor Fletcher employed in order to do this. You know, we have one of the finest, if not the finest, state park system in the U.S. And we're blessed to have Lake Cumberland and Green River Lake right here, close to all of us who live in the district. So what I will do as state representative is build on this campaign by drawing people back to Lake Cumberland, continue to support efforts to get a lodge put out at Green River Lake, and finally, we need to support adventure tourism. When I lived out in Virginia, when I was working on Capitol Hill, they had these bike trails everywhere, and it was amazing how people would come from all over DC, the DC metro area, to bike there, and then businesses sprung up all along them. And so it was just a win-win, healthier living, more economic development, and hey, just a good time for everybody.
My name is Riley Piper. I'm a second-year junior from Owensboro, Kentucky. Government major in communications and business accounting with the hopes of attending law school after graduation. My question is for Mr. Dan Carney. A current Kentucky state representative has recently made news by proposing that drug testing should be tied to receiving government assistance. What do you believe on this subject?
I agree with you. If you're on government assistance, I think we should have mandatory drug testing. If you fail the test, you're not necessarily taken off the assistance, but you're certainly given counseling. And then if you fail again, then there will be some other measures. Again, if you're on government assistance, maybe the drug problem is why you're on that. So if the state can get you off of drugs, maybe you can get back to work and make a productive living on your own, which will take burden off the taxpayers. So I agree with that, particularly if there's children in the home too. So I agree with that completely. I got 30 seconds, I think, left. A couple other issues I'd like to address that we have follow up on is my answer for sending the governor having the right to pull troops or withdraw, limit troops from going to Iraq would be absolutely no. Commander-in-Chief of the United States is the President of the United States. If he calls federal troops up, they go. That's why we must continue to fund our special agencies in the local district, particularly our volunteer firefighters and fire departments. Breeding has an outstanding one, NIFLE has an outstanding one. Breeding was started after the tornado that hit King Valley. Everything went to King Valley, Breeding couldn't get no help. So we must fund these organizations so that they're ready for these times of emergencies. And then guess what? It's time for us as good neighbors and good citizens to pick up and help one another out like we always do in this district.
Can I follow up on this, George? Can I follow up on the troop deployment? I want to follow up on that question about the troop deployment to the National Guard for the government. Yes.
I think we're going to pass it.
Okay.
What we do is address it in closing statement. And now, the final question, which we will give everybody, all four of these gentlemen, an opportunity to answer. Campbellsville residents will soon have an opportunity to vote for or against the city of Campbellsville becoming moist. Alcohol sales in restaurants that meet certain criteria. Do you think the possible benefits outweigh the possible damaging effects?
That question comes up pretty regularly when we have a prospective client that comes to town, especially from the Japanese. They want to know, is our town wet? And some of them choose to live in Lebanon because our town is dry. So I would leave you with this. I would think that, you vote your own conscience in this thing, but I feel like it would be a recruiting tool if the city was wet or moist.